Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing recovering from a money fight. My guest is Finney. He's a couples financial coach. He helps couples stop fighting about money and get on the same page together. Stephen, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Thank you, Camille. I'm super happy to be here. This is a lot of fun.
I'm super happy to have you on. I'm really looking forward to discussing this topic. I think you're about to share some wonderfully important information. And I kind of want to start with what usually triggers a money fight. Where does this typically get started? Because it's like everything's chill, and then the next thing you know, we're in an argument about money. What's gone off the rails? What's happened?
Yeah, great question. And so this could be more than one thing, of course. One of the things I see is little resentments build up over time, and sometimes can cause it. And so this is how that looks sometimes. Maybe something annoying happens, like somebody forgot to pay the credit card bill on time, we got a late fee, whatever, and we don't address it. Let's just say were like, whatever, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just pay the stupid thing and move on. Okay, you think everything's fine, right? But something else happens the next week, and it's a little bit of annoyance. They do something that's, I don't know, they chew with their mouth open, something silly that doesn't seem like it matters at all. All these little things start to add up. And then eventually somebody explodes over even smaller things, like, I can't believe we didn't load the dishwasher last night or something. Like just, it doesn't matter at all. And yet we're exploding over something tiny. So I asked the question, if you blew up on something, was that really the problem? Or is it the thing that happened a month ago that we didn't really address, and all those little things that built up? So that's one possibility.
Yeah, I love that point, that it's usually not just one thing, and it's usually a buildup over time. It's not like we forget to pay the credit card bill and we start having to fight immediately. It's forgot to pay the credit card bill. Oops, forgot to send the check to school for the kids' lunches. Oh, forgot to do this, and didn't do the dishwasher, and parked the car in the wrong way again, and all this kind of stuff. And then an explosion happens, but totally at a really weird different time. And so is it hard to kind of correlate and recognize that the issue was the money if the explosion's happening over something else that actually sets it off?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So it's part of the process I'm going to go over is taking some time to process those things, and why did we really fight? Is this really the problem, or were we fighting over something that happened a month ago or 2 months ago?
Right.
So it can definitely be difficult, for sure.
Okay, so before we get to all the solutions, I'm sure there are a couple of things that we naturally tend to do that just totally make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
What things would it make sense for us to avoid? Like, what should we not do? What's not to do? So that we can avoid making it worse.
And here's one thing too that can start a fight as well is the unknowns. So if there's something unknown, then not bringing it out into the light can cause problems, and that can make it worse as well. So here's what I mean by that. If both people handle money differently, right? And so I love seeing control over where the money is and what's going on with it. So I love having some kind of a budget system that works for me and for her, but I especially need it just to feel safe and comfortable. If I don't have that for some reason, I start to feel out of control, and there's some unknowns. And so one of the two of you may feel like the credit card bill is getting out of control because I just don't know what's on it day to day. Like, it's just out of sight, out of mind until it comes in at the end of the month. And then it's like, oh my gosh, how do we owe $5,000 on the 10 grand? How did this happen? So just leaving those things in the dark is going to make it worse. Not bringing them out into the light makes it worse, for sure.
I feel like that's pretty universal, like everywhere. If you're not addressing it, if you're not looking at it regularly, if you're like not even opening the envelope when the statement comes in, it's not going to get any better by itself. It's always going to get worse. Yeah.
That goes with the relationship too, about not addressing resentments when they happen. If you just gloss over them and you feel like, oh, I'm just letting it go, you're really not, because it's going to hang on the back of your mind if you don't bring it out and talk about it in a healthy way. So that's another thing that can make it worse.
Right. I'm just going to let that go, but I'm not.
But you're not. And you even think you are letting it go. And then my brain will remember, oh, well, she did that thing last week that pissed you off. It's like, that's not okay.
It's not okay. Yeah,
It's not
that is
okay.
definitely making it worse.
Yes,
I'm just gonna move past that, but not
but
ever.
not.
Yeah, yeah. So bringing it up, getting it out into the light, discussing it right away, so that we're not holding on to these things and making them bigger and bigger until we finally do have this blow up big fight type of thing.
Right.
What should we do if we want a more positive result? I know you've got prepared kind of a list of things that we can do to address certain issues. Crack into number one. I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, and this is just real life from the marriage I've been in for 3 years now. So it's like from the trenches. What did I do? And what did we do together to dig through our arguments together? So the first one, we both need this. For you guys listening, one of y'all might need to do this, and one of you may not as much. But one of you statistically needs to take some time to process your emotions.
Mm.
So emotions are going to be real high when you're in an argument, even if one of you doesn't think it's very high. For one of you, the emotions are going to be high and it's going to be uncomfortable. So you need to take some time to process and bring those emotions down a little so you can think through them a little more rationally. It's not that your feelings are invalid, they are very valid. It's just that we need to get to the rational truth behind them and start to think about them rationally so that we can resolve it. And that's not going to happen if we try to resolve it immediately and just push through and hope for the best. So, especially if it's at the end of the night, this is rough because it's like, one of the things a lot of us were taught is don't go to bed angry. Try to make a compromise for a second and say, I know that we're angry and I love you and we'll work this out. I promise. Something to just give a truce and let's take some time to process tomorrow and come back later. If we can possibly do that, even that step is really difficult if you haven't done that before, but just recognize you need to take some time.
Yeah. Yeah. So really get a moment to step back, not in the argument, and process what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and maybe remember, I do love this person. And then you can come back the next time and have a more productive discussion.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
What's next?
Yeah. So while you're doing this prime processing, if this is uncomfortable for you and this is like, I don't know what you're even telling me to do, take some time to process, like start to just gain awareness around your thoughts and what you're doing and what you're thinking without judgment. So, I mean, like whatever it is that you're thinking and feeling, don't judge yourself for it. Just let it happen in your mind. So are you blaming? Are you like building your case against them? Are you shifting blame? Are you making sure that it's all their fault and none of it was my fault? Or they're being ridiculous? I can't believe that happened again. How could they possibly think that's okay? We paid the credit card bill, late 3 times in a row. Don't they know it's going to crush our credit? Like, don't they, all these things, building up in your mind, just let them go for a second without judgment so you can see what it is. And whatever you can see that it is, it may even be that some of that is self-judgment on yourself. Like, I can't believe I let that happen again. I can't believe whatever happened, was all my fault. I can't believe, they're going to hate me. And I kind of hate me at the moment. Just let those things go for a second and then realize, oh, that's not healthy. I'm self-judging or I'm judging them. You see?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, and all of the wording that you used at the beginning, there was that wording that gets us into trouble almost no matter what situation we're in if we immediately start the blame thing.
Yes.
Something doesn't go the way we wanted it to, and we're looking to place blame on everybody except for ourselves. And going, okay, you messed up and and that person over there did a thing and it was rainy today. And so that was worse. And like just rather than taking ownership of, okay, this has happened 3 times. What did I not do, or what did I do incorrectly that influenced this? Perhaps it would have helped if I would have offered to take over paying it, or if we scheduled a time to do this together or something like that. Really looking at yourself to say, okay, let's not judge what's going on and look to place blame. Let's just figure out what we can do together to get this solved.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. When we're in this conflict, it's probably the blaming the other person because they're in the wrong here. You're probably thinking an all or nothing type situation. So that's gain awareness around that. And when you can do that, you just alluded to the next point, which is perfect. It's find the 1% that you could have done differently that you can be responsible for. Let's just assume for a second that it's 99% their fault. That means you have at least 1% that you could have done differently to avoid it or made the conflict better. And if you ask yourself that question honestly, you're gonna say yes, that there's at least 1%. And there's going to be more than that. So ask yourself, could it have been 10, 20% me? Could it even be a 50% me? Could I have responded 50% of this conflict could have been on me and I could have responded differently? I know many times I'm like, oh yeah, I could have absolutely owned at least half of this on me. Even at the beginning, I'm like blaming her. I'm like, I can't believe this is, I can't believe she did this, whatever it was. I can give you an example here because I got a good one. Coming up here too, but we can get through all the points. But yeah, just owning that percent of the conflict is important because that's what really de-escalates everything. Once you can take a little bit of the humility and a little bit of the, this was part of this is on me, that de-escalates the emotions a lot.
Right. It really does. And even if it's not, like you said, even if it's mostly them or you feel like it's mostly them, I think we can all figure out 1% me. Like, okay, there's 1%. There's one tiny little thing that I could have, should have, would have done that would have made a difference here. And then that relieves a lot of the pressure and a lot of the stress. So I love that. Yeah. Okay. Go continue with your story. I want to hear this story.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to, and I want to say too, just really briefly, this is not for abusive situations. Like abusive situations that are happening, just you've got to get out of there and get the distance between you and the other person. It's not your fault. You don't own any percent of that. So just want to make sure to put that out there. But
we're talking about, we're not talking about an abuse situation. We're talking about our relationship's pretty good, but we're having a fight over money. Absolutely. If somebody's in an abusive situation, get out. This is not gonna fix it because there's a much deeper issue happening there.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's a real life one for you. We do spend some money and some time on a lot of personal development stuff, courses. We love the Enneagram personality assessment and learning about ourselves that way. That's just one of the things that we like to do, me and my wife. And so she's always been supportive of the courses that I take and I spend money on. We plan it together most all the time. But we had a month way back, it was at least a couple of years ago, where we hadn't done our budget in a while. Back then we did it every month. Now we actually do it every week. Which has helped a lot, but we hadn't done it that month. It was like 2 weeks into the month. We were just like, it's a hard, busy time right now. We'll get there. And I knew we had money, but my mind is starting to go like, hey, we haven't done this in a while. I don't really know what's coming. And I'm starting to get nervous. So she comes to me and says, hey, I want to take this Enneagram course. It's, X dollars. And my first knee-jerk response, because I was so stressed and I didn't even realize I was this stressed. My knee-jerk response is, we don't have the money. We can't do that right now. Just bam, boom. And you can imagine that didn't go over so well. So it doesn't matter who you are, that didn't go over well whatsoever. And so she was just like dumbfounded and had this look of like, I supported you with, she didn't even have to say any words. I knew what she was thinking. I've supported you with everything that you wanted to do and have given you no grief whatsoever. And so, and I had to, because my emotions were high, I had to get some time to process. My first response is to want to resolve it immediately. And you can't do that. You've got to go and think. So when I did, I realized, going to number 2, gaining awareness around my thoughts. I'm not actually stressed because we don't have the money. And this is just something she wants to spend money on for no reason. I'm stressed because I don't have clarity and confidence around where our money's going right now. And if I did, it would probably be fine. And sure enough, when we did, we've got money for this. It's actually we got a savings bucket for this. It's okay. We can go ahead and spend that money. It's no big deal. Right. Because I didn't have that. I was stressed and freaking out about it. I didn't even realize I was freaking out about it.
Well, and it sounds like there was other stress in your life at that time. So maybe stress with work or stress with, other things that were happening. Mm-hmm. And then when she just happened to come to you with this, because you hadn't seen the budget sheet and you guys hadn't been on the same page on that, and that was something that you need so you feel comfortable, then it just all exploded at one time without you really even intending for it to be that way. And the money was totally there. I love that result. The money was there. You just panicked because you hadn't seen it there.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it was exactly what I needed to do, just to see that. And you're right. There was a lot of stress going on in life. So when I did, I was able to go to her, and this is the next point, go to her and own my part of it and say, this is my part of the conflict. And I just realized it's because of the stress that we had going on in our life. And because I don't have clarity on where money's going because we haven't done the budget this month. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry because I knee-jerk reacted to you and that was the wrong way to do it. And I'm really sorry and I apologize. Yeah. And that just de-escalated the whole situation. It wasn't a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Share what the next tip is that we can do.
Yeah. So after that will de-escalate a lot of these conflicts right there. And that may be enough. This may be the end of the road for a lot of these, but I want to give a situation where maybe it needs to be a little further, because if you have a conflict that's getting really intense, like maybe there's a situation where two parties, both of you are tempted to blame each other, one for not paying the bills on time, dealing with the money on time properly, and the other because I'm working all the time. I don't have time to do this junk. Like, I can't believe you're even asking me to deal with all this because I have so much going on in my life. So there's both of you that have this valid kind of, thing going on in your life. The temptation is, if I own my part of it, they won't own theirs. If I go and take the humility and take the bullet for her, for him, they're not going to own their side, and then I look like an idiot.
Yeah. So you get nervous to do that initial step because you worry that it won't be reciprocated.
Yep. That's a real big fear if your conflict is high enough.
Mm-hmm.
And the response is to do it anyway. And so I'm going to ask you in this situation to take the bullet anyway. And I'm going to ask you to do that because you love him or her, and because you want to honor them and put them first above yourself. And the reason I want you to do that is because even if they don't reciprocate, which I almost guarantee you they will, but if it doesn't happen, then just think about it as chipping away at the barrier between you two. Because if this is happening, there's probably a barrier that's been building up. There's probably some resentments that have been building up. There's a wall there. And just think about it as taking the bullet for them, taking the suffering on their behalf so that you can chip away at that, because it will not last forever. That they will start to reciprocate therein too, because again, there's always 1%. So it's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good, and you're not going to like it. And as you practice this and do it again and again, you're going to break through that, because you're telling them, I love you and I'm sorry. And that's it. Like, you're not expecting something in return. Mm-hmm. So
mm-hmm. I feel like we could use that advice in pretty much any type of argument that we have ever, whether it's about money or about something else. Just, I love you and I'm sorry. I want to work it out. Works wonders. Yeah.
And now here's where you can, if you need to bring something up that's like, hey, I want this problem to not happen again, because that doesn't resolve the problem of we pay the credit card bill late 3 times in a row. We still need to resolve that. So we've done a good job of resolving the conflict. Now, to resolve the actual problem, I want you guys to approach them with this statement after you've done this work. Come to them, the emotions are down, you're feeling good. Use a statement, and I call it a when I felt. So when this happened, I felt blank. So when the credit card bill got paid late again for the 3rd time in a row, I felt deflated. I felt angry. I felt I felt rejected because I felt like I wasn't getting taken care of, and now I'm feeling unsafe. Mm-hmm. Like, we have all these fees piling up, and you're not placing blame on them. You're telling me this is the emotions I'm going through when this situation happened.
Right.
And that opens the dialogue for them to do the same thing. So that'll help you break the ice on that and help you get through it without blame shifting.
Right. Because you're really just expressing your own feelings, not telling them it's their fault that you feel that way. Just, hey, this happened and this is how I felt about it. I would love for that to not happen again. How can I help make sure that we don't have to go through this again?
Yep.
So, yeah.
I know that's a lot. So I want to make sure you guys notice that this is a process. This is not a one-time thing. So this is like 3 years of figuring out what happened when we argued about this. How could we have done this better? How could we build a system around this? So I'd encourage you to bookmark this podcast, come back to it several times, think through the steps if you're having problems, and get better than you were last time, because it's a skill you build. It's like a muscle you're building. So go work out that muscle and get better at that, at these steps, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it totally is. How does a couple know if they need third-party help? Like, when do we know it's time to call somebody like you? We're not making progress.
Yeah, that's another great question. If these resentments that I mentioned earlier, if those have been building up for a long time and it doesn't feel like there's any conclusion to these, it could have been like, we've been in a relationship for 10 years now, and we make one step forward and there's like 3 steps back on our relationship communication, and our money's a wreck because of it. Like, get some help because you're facing a mountain, and I absolutely believe in you guys to conquer the mountain, but it's a whole lot easier if you have someone going through it with you. So get someone to tackle that mountain with you instead of it just being a hill. If you're looking at a mountain, get a counselor, get a financial coach like me, somebody to help walk through it with you.
Right. So, because it's really is one of those things that tends to build up. And then by the time you realize you need help, sometimes you're almost going, I don't even know how we got here.
Yeah.
And it's And it's probably not just the money. It
No.
was probably
Right.
a bunch of other stuff as well. And then when communication didn't happen, the money part got way worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I see it all the time. Unmet expectations, there's several things. Unmet expectations, our communication feels like it's just not working and we're in debt up to our eyeballs and we don't know what to do. Or we just don't know where our money's going. Maybe you're fine,
Yeah.
but you don't know where the money's going. So
Yeah. Yeah. What's kind of the advantage of having, other than having somebody kind of guide you along the path, what other advantages are to having somebody else come in and mediate?
yeah, so a couple of things. You have a neutral third party. Like the great thing about me is I get to love both of y'all. So I get to just be not only neutral, but I get to be the safe place for you guys to have these conversations. And I can facilitate the process so it doesn't feel so difficult to get through these conversations. So
Right.
that's one.
Yeah.
The accountability too of building the systems of getting the money under control. I can be that accountability for you guys so that life doesn't get in the way of, taking those steps to get better, because building the money skills too is also a skill and a practice you have to learn. So
Yeah, that's a great point. So if somebody is genuinely mismanaging money, we don't have a budget, or we're continually running up debt because we're overspending, spending habits are out of control, or things like that. That is something that probably really does need outside help, because it seems like the people need instruction on how to do it, or it's time to build the skills, not just get the conversation going.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and there are other things too. I see growing up with different money backgrounds that, you bring two people together in a marriage that have learned about money differently from their parents and their families, completely different, and how do we merge our finances together? We just never really merge our finances together well, and everything still feels separate and we don't know what to do about it. So there's all kind of different situations where I can be helpful. So.
Yeah, that I think my husband and I actually did a show on that about a year ago, because we did come from very different kind of money backgrounds, and it was difficult in the beginning for us to figure out how are we going to manage money together. How can each of us have those things that we need? Like I like to have money in a pile somewhere because it makes me feel safe if we have it. And he likes to make sure that he can access it to do something fun, because he doesn't want to miss an opportunity if there's a life thing that he would love to do. That was a battle for a while.
Yep. Yep. Hear it all the time. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool thing of what we did is I ended up being a little more open to, hey, there's a fun thing. Maybe it would be okay to do it. We're not going to not feed the kids next week if we do go to the movies this week. We're okay. And then he actually has started putting some money away in savings and things like that. He's like, yeah, it might be nice to have a rainy day fund and not just scrape by every time. So we influenced each other in a positive way, I think. But yeah, it definitely, when you come from those different backgrounds, it is difficult to figure out. Talk a little bit about kind of that money style, because I know that's sort of what we're alluding to is, some people are savers and some are spenders and some want to do gifts all the time and things like that. How does that sort of play into the money relationship?
Oh yeah. So almost universally, there's a split between, it can be saver and spender. It can also be detail oriented and not. So someone who likes to keep track of the numbers, someone who just does not care at all. And there's obvious conflict there, but it's all because we marry and we have relationships with people that are interesting to us, that have a key that we don't have. And so like, we don't marry ourselves, that would be dumb. So
Right.
we marry someone that's different than us, to have these things that are interesting, exciting, and attractive. So when you have those, just recognize for a second that they're actually strengths. Both of them are. So like for me as a saver, I'm the natural saver. It's easy for me to think growing up, I'm like, I feel bad for all these spenders because they don't have any money. But the problem is I didn't have a life really. I just saved everything I owned and I just didn't do anything. And so like, I'm just thinking, oh, well, I'm planning for my family. I'm planning for retirement one day. And it's like, you're not living. You're just,
right.
You're saving every penny you own. There's a strength for both of you, because I love how you mentioned how you and your husband play off of each other. My wife helps Shannon. She helps me to actually have a life and enjoy it and do more travel more often. more fun things more often. Generosity is important for us. So spending that extra amount on giving is important to do, instead of saying, well, we're just gonna, if it was just me, I'm just gonna grab all the money and hold on to it. It's like, that's not living life.
Right.
So both of you are critical to the money relationship in the family. Lean on each other as strengths, and when you're weak, lean on each other to bring the best out of you and out of them. That's the best way I can describe it. So.
I absolutely love that. I think it's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about right now, or what are you working on right now?
So I am working on, I've done this workshop a couple times. It's 3 simple ways to master your money talk with your partner. So going from that dynamic of someone's usually a spender, someone's usually a saver, how do you make this work? We go through some ways to communicate better, and also to have a money system that works for both of you and where you can lean on each other's strengths for. That's what I specialize in. So that's what I'm doing. It's what I'm working on.
That is cool. Will we be able to find that on your website when it comes out?
Yes. So you can go to finneyfinancial.com. If there is a live workshop, you can sign up. If not, you can get a recording. Just go to the sign up link and you can get an email. So
perfect. That is awesome. Thank you so much for all of these wonderful tips. I feel like this is going to be a very valuable episode for people, and that, maybe somebody in a couple out there just heard it and they're going to go and accidentally play it really loudly from the room next to where their partner is. So that everybody can hear this episode and go, oh, okay, maybe I should take the hint and it's time to actually talk to each other now.
Please do.
Please do. Yes. Thank you so much. Like Stephen said, you can get in touch with him through his website, finneyfinancial.com. You can also email him, Stephen@finneyfinancial.com. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. I'm a business optimization coach, financial educator, author, and speaker. You can contact me and find out what I'm up to through my website, CamilleDiaz.com, and follow me on social media at CamUnfiltered. Be sure to follow MoneyHeart at MoneyHeart Show, and our website is MoneyHeartShow.com. Stephen, do you want to share today's money mantra?
Yes, I sure can. So my money mantra for today is face the truth together. It's facing the truth together. So reason for this, there's a lot of times in our life where the truth is really scary and we're avoiding it, even if you don't even mean to. You may be avoiding the credit card bill because it's just too much. You already know this. You're in debt up to your eyeballs. You don't know what to do. Or you don't want to have that conversation with your spouse, that tough one, because you don't know how it's going to go. Whatever it is, whatever you shed light on begins the healing process of that thing. So if you face the truth, you bring it out into the light and you start the healing process. So just be brave. You can do it. It's starting the healing process by facing the truth. And then once you're on the same page together, you'll be both facing the truth together.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.